Um, hey, Betty.
Hey Dan, hi everyone.
Hey, so for those of you whose first Discord community call this is, if you look in the chat on the left, there's a community call chat just three that's above this one, and a community call whiteboard, which is where we can post links or pictures or slides or anything else that may come up during the call today. So keep an eye on those and feel free to ask questions in the chat if you have them, and Josh, others can help answer those, and we can answer them verbally as well. And then towards the end, we will also open up the stage for live questions if anyone does want to come up and just verbally ask your question. So whatever you feel comfortable with is totally fine with us. So topic for the day, we're going to keep the call probably around 30 minutes or so. We'll see how things move. But we're going to go over a few things. So you may have seen today we announced a new ACA staking program. So Betty will give some details around that, and definitely happy to answer questions on that program. Also some updates around EVM Plus and some just kind of watch outs for address binding and some technical things just to watch out for when you're starting to use the EVM Plus. Quite a few teams getting ready or testing or building, getting ready to launch. So good to start learning more around kind of the details around how the EVM Plus works for users. And then, like I said, last we'll end with Q&A. So feel free to prepare your questions or take notes on questions during Betty's comments, and then happy to have you up on stage and hear your questions and help talk through that. So Betty, if you want to get us started, maybe giving an overview on the ACA staking program, how that works, and then just any kind of details that people should be aware of.
Yeah, sure. So good morning, good evening, wherever you are, folks. So thanks for showing up and for today's AMA. So the first topic, we're going to go through the ACA staking. And it's been probably a month or so since our last program ended. And just a reminder, ACA is, well, for now, it is a non-inflationary token by design, which means there's no printed circulation, and hence there's no, printed staking powered by printed tokens. While we did receive feedbacks from a community that they would love to see some small amount but capped inflation, especially initially now as we finish our white paper, and then can help with a lot more expansion, growth, a new feature development and things like that. But I think that's another kind of like open discussion topic for another time. But as for now, ACA by design is a non-inflationary and probably deflationary in operation, because as you pay fees in ACA, those are kind of like captured in the network and out of the circulation. And then with that, then to be able to provide ACA holders a staking service, then we have to do it in a very honest way. So basically, whenever there's a surplus, then we can do a buyback of ACA. And then last time, we did a buyback and then directly distributed the ACA to the stakers. I think that was pretty good. It was really well received, especially when people understood that these ACA are effectively bought back rather than minted. And of course, there's a limited amount of those to be distributed every period when the surplus is kind of captured. And then this time around, like last time was kind of like a proof of concept. This time is no different, but we refined the model a little bit more, and then also seek feedback from everyone who's participating, how you find the program. So this time around, instead of directly distributing ACA. And then again, at the end of the program, those are circulating ACA again. This time around, we are distributing ACA AUSD liquidity provision token, so LP token, instead of just one single ACA token. So there's a number of reasons we chose to do this. See if that makes sense to you. So number one, for the stakers, this not only increase your ownership by having more ACA, right? But also you've got a stablecoin portion of the distribution. So what that means is once the loyalty program ends, with the LP token holder, you can actually choose to withdraw the liquidity, and those liquidity can be withdrawn into ACA and AUSD. So you basically have increasing your ownership on one hand, but you also get a little bit of hedge, right, by getting distribution in AUSD dollar terms. So that was probably an interesting factor for the ACA staker, especially in a market like this. It's probably a good thing that this can be done. And then the second aspect that we consider is LP token is actually, so the ACA and AUSD pool is one of the major pool in the Acala swap. So we are effectively distributing our products to the hands of stakers. So basically, for the network owners, now you are also part of the user group of the Acala network. And I think that is great for folks to actually help with liquidity, but also raise awareness and then understand a little bit more Acala product. At the same time, you're receiving rewards by doing so. And then the third thing is more to do with the LP token, right? So with the LP token, you're effectively earning a share of the swap pool. And then the trading fees that's earned by the pool or by the liquidity provider will be distributed to the LP token holders in proportion to your share of the pool. So effectively, by holding LP token, you will be earning trading fees during the staking period. And then at the end of the program, if you continue to hold LP token and want to stake it, then you're not only going to earn the trading fees, but also if there's any incentive program for that pool, then if you stake your LP token, then you can continue to earn those incentive programs. So in one way, then we turn stakers into also users of our network, and also providers to our network liquidity, and in return, then they should be rewarded appropriately with whatever program that's available. So that's kind of like a trickle benefit for the staker, and then for the network itself, and then overall probably creates a positive loop to support the ACA network, as well as to reward ACA holders appropriately. So that's kind of like roughly how this program is kind of structured. And there are some details. I think with the buyback, obviously depends really on, so the buyback is rolling, so it's ongoing buyback automatically. And then those rewards will be kind of injected into the reward vaults, into the ACA staking pool. And so with the rolling factor, so roughly the program by estimate will be run 90 days. It could be slightly longer, it could be slightly shorter. This is all depends on the rolling sort of buyback, how the performance will end up eventually. So there, bear in mind that the duration is an estimate, not an accurate number. And then the second thing is there's still a loyalty program. So just a reminder of those who might have forgot what it is. So loyalty program is the goal there is to encourage people actually stake their rewards without actually just come and stake and then take out the reward and then liquidate it and do something else with it, right? So we want, the goal is to have as much people participate in this, so then they become also user of Acala's product. So in that sense, the loyalty program is set up this way. The loyalty program is also run 90 days, and then the loyalty bonus is 50%. So what happens is every period you will get distribute the entire amount plus the loyalty bonus. However, if you withdraw before the loyalty program ends, then you will receive 50% of the amount into your wallet, and then the rest of the 50% will go back into the pool. And then the rest of the stakers who actually stick around for longer, and then they will get that share of people who need to exit early. We do this for two reasons. One is I've mentioned that we want to encourage more people sticking around and kind of follow this program. But then the second is we understand folks need to get liquidity early, at least get 50% of the entire reward plus bonus early. So then providing this exit, it will actually help a bunch of people be able to get liquid, but also at the same time for what they forego. So the 50% bonus they foregone can go back to other people who are sticking around for longer to reward the behavior that we want to see. So I think that's a fair play. So for those two reasons, the loyalty program are set up that way to encourage the good behavior for the participation. So so that's roughly the ACA program. And then lastly, there's one thing, if you have participated in the previous program before, so here's a reminder. If you've participated in the previous ACA staking program before, you would have some rewards already there. So if you haven't actually claimed those ACA rewards, please go and claim them before this program starts, because otherwise those rewards will be subject to the new loyalty program again. If you don't care, you just want to leave those rewards there for the next 90 days, that's fine. But otherwise, please withdraw them so you can have those liquidity on hand. So I think that's probably rough about what the staking program will look like. Maybe we should see if there's any questions or Dan, if you have any other perspective on the staking program that I must want to mention.
Yeah, I was just going to add a couple things. So I'm not sure the levels of kind of like DeFi knowledge or experience people have. So if you have questions around LP tokens, these are liquidity provider tokens, feel free to ask. There's really no bad questions. The blog that we posted today, I actually added a video in there for people who did want to learn about liquidity pools and how those work. And then wanted to clarify one other thing. So when Betty was saying that you can earn trading fees, since you'd be getting ACA, AUSD, LP tokens, that means that you would be earning trading fees specifically from that trading pair. So the ACA and AUSD pool. The LP token basically gets you access to the trading fees from that specific pool. So just to clarify that. But everything else, Betty, I think you covered pretty well. The biggest takeaways are, well, date-wise, so this starts in a week, so August 4th, maybe the 5th, depending on what part of the world you're in. And then, like Betty said, for people who did the previous ACA staking program, just make sure that you claim your rewards in the next like 6 days before the program goes live, because otherwise those tokens will be kind of locked up in the loyalty program for 3 months, 90 days. So yeah, we can pause here. Betty, anything else?
Oh no, I just posted a link in the whiteboard channel. So
Yep.
I'm sure that's also included in the guide and everything else, but that's basically where you will be seeing the staking program when it becomes live.
Yep. So we can pause here in the agenda. Anyone in the audience want to rate? Oh, I think we've already got one question. All right, I'm going to invite this person on, and then anyone else who wants to ask a question, feel free to raise your hand. and we can invite you up. So TSRAI 11.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep. Hello.
Yeah, as just
Hello.
a returning user, I haven't checked my account for a very long time. I have two questions. First one is I provided liquidity. I minted AUSD a long time ago, probably in the beginning, and I also put Acala, I think, single-sided staking. But I've never ever checked my account, and from what I can gather is I should check it and claim my rewards and stuff because some new program is starting. So that's question number one. Question number two, I did some steps to qualify for an NFT, which was just a commemorative. Is there going to be any utility to that NFT? So those are two questions. Thanks.
Cool, awesome. So thanks for participating for a start. And then you definitely should check where your reward is. So the first thing is for the ACA staking, you can go to that link that I sent in the whiteboard. If you have stakes, the program itself should show up in that link. You should see how much reward you've earned in ACA, and there's a button claim there, and then you just like withdraw the ACA out of the program from there on. So that's number one. And then for number two, thanks for participating as early adopter of Acala, and then also receiving the NFTs. So right now, there isn't anything just yet. We're just getting started. So the plan there is, or at least there's some brainstorming there, is to provide privileged access for NFT users and also bonus rewards for those NFT participants. So it could be the next staking program. We will be able to implement something like this that early adopters can actually have bonus rewards alongside with other folks. So so it's also welcome folks to provide some ideas as well. But there's so many ways that we can actually incorporate the NFT as an identity and also proving what level of participation that you've had in the past. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So again, I think I'm a bit disappointed because usually early adopters plus NFT do result in something tangible, and although we shouldn't expect any rewards because then that's literally gets us into a regulatory nightmare. But a bit disappointed on the NFT front. More can be done, I think, in terms of NFT, especially the people who are actually holding those NFTs in their wallets and shouldn't be contingent on participation in X, Y, and Z. These are just my thoughts. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, appreciate that. So for folks, for the NFT that you earn from crowd loan, right? So those are already very early adopters. There's a huge distribution distributed to those folks. So effectively, your NFT is already been redeemed, right? Because for folks who are after, if you didn't participate in crowd loan, not only you don't get NFT, you don't get another crowd loan in the future. So I think that was the program at the time, and by design, that this is how the redemption is going to be. And then of course everything else is bonus. That more innovation and more folks building using the NFT is a bonus, right? So it's not part of any of the plan so far that we've had. So so appreciate the feedback and see what we can do with it. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, the other thing I would add is just to keep in mind that we are very, very, very early in Acala's lifetime, and Polkadot for that matter. And this is we're talking about an ecosystem here. So there's going to be a lot of teams beginning to launch on Acala. And the cool thing about NFTs is all of that is on chain. So what teams are already kind of brainstorming around is like, okay, we're launching a new dApp on Acala. How do we engage previous ACA, maybe crowd loan participants or NFT holders, which means that people have participated in past campaigns. So this is another way for people teams to be able to look at on-chain data and see who's holding this NFT, and then they could potentially do whatever they want to do. So maybe it could be like doing their own sort of incentive program. Maybe they do airdrops. There's basically unlimited kind of opportunities for teams building on Acala to engage with the community. And those NFTs serve as a perfect kind of marker of
Yeah, so
valuable
I think
Acala
that's
community
exactly
members.
where I was going and heading with it. Um, Especially with the Cosmos ecosystem, for example, like if you're delegating to a certain validator or blah blah. I think you guys know this, already. I think something like that will be really, really good. And yeah, thank you. I think you guys are heading in the right direction, and NFTs provides an absolutely brilliant opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to invite Tim up. Or maybe Phil.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Hey, Phil. Yep.
Hey.
Hello.
I participated in the first round of staking, and at the very end, there was quite a bit of confusion over the time differences between when you could claim your reward and if you exited slightly early, even though the staking had finished, you may have forgone your loyalty bonus. Is that the similar thing, or are they now in line with each other for this round?
Yeah, so if you forgot to claim at the time, you can claim now. So it doesn't actually affect any of your rewards. The reminder there is more of if you don't claim the rewards before the next program starts, then your reward is still in the vault, and then they will actually roll into the next loyalty program. Yeah.
Sorry,
Ben,
maybe
he was saying, yeah. He was
so,
saying
go
that
on, Dan.
last time the rewards ended before the loyalty period ended, and people had to wait, until after the loyalty period was over to claim.
Yep.
There was a
Yep.
gap. There was a gap there. So he's asking, is
Yeah.
that potentially going to happen again?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, so the loyalty program is basically a fixed time that's set on chain. If it's like this time will be 90 days, and yeah, and then if we finish like earlier, then you will have to wait till the loyalty program ends. Usually, it's not too much longer.
Brilliant. Okay, understood. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks.
Tim.
Hi guys, sorry,
Hello.
the line cut out before. I've got my Acala on an exchange, and I was wondering what I have to do to stake it. I might have missed your answer at the start because I wasn't listening. If you could answer that, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, go ahead then.
Yeah. So Josh, who's talking in the community called chat, or Andrew, they may already have a guide for this to make it easier.
Okay.
But essentially, all you would have to do is basically withdraw from the exchange to. Do you have a Polkadot account set up on?
Yes, I've got a Polkadot account on the JS wallet and also
Yeah.
a Polka wallet.
Cool. So yeah, it looks like Josh just posted an ACA staking guide in the community call chat. If you check that out, there should be instructions on how to kind of send tokens on chain.
Yeah, so basically you set up a
right.
wallet and then withdraw ACA onto the Acala app using that wallet. And then you have, control over those tokens, and then you can do whatever you like, including staking.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys, and thanks for all the work that you do.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Maybe I'll go through some of the questions in the community call chat. There's an off-topic one talking about metadata portal for parity signer. Yeah, I mean, thanks for bringing that up. I've taken note of that, and we'll take a look and then see what we can do with it. And then the next one.
On the note, Betty, about parity signer, I think a little alpha that we can drop here that hasn't been announced is that the Acala app on Ledger is ready in dev mode. Karura, let's see, Karura should also be live on dev mode as well. So the full Ledger integration isn't live yet. But if you're kind of an advanced user and want to use it on dev mode, that is ready. And I actually saw someone on Twitter post a picture of that today, so been confirmed.
Cool. Yeah, and then next question, would the new ACA staking program have any side effects on the current ACA AUS liquidity pool? So you will certainly see an increased level of liquidity in that pool. That's kind of by design. We want to be able to do that by increasing liquidity, by distributing LP tokens. And because we're doing it in a rolling way, so there could be fluctuation of the price of ACA. That could also create arbitrage opportunities there. But hopefully the rolling is small enough that it doesn't cause much ripple on the market at the same time. So yeah, so arbitrages, there's some opportunity there if you want. And then the next question, can you speak about the circulating supply changing to 466 million ACA on CoinMarketCap? So from my understanding, CoinMarketCap is reading an API supplied by us. So that should be reading the right data, but we could actually double check that amount. And this is basically tracking month by month any unlock, any tokens that's being released into the market. So yeah, so we could certainly verify that. The next one, is there any plans on future conversations about inflating ACA? So right now there's no plan. There's only conversations and feedback on this topic. Even we do so, it will still be capped supply. But I think this is like an open topic. I can see merits of both sides. A non-inflationary token is certainly sort of more secure in a very long run. And a small inflation certainly will help for early adoption. And then the balance between the two is where I guess a lot of interesting ideas and discussions will arise. So yeah, I look forward to, I guess, folks to kind of open up and discuss about this stuff. So yeah. Anything else? Yeah, so ACA is already being used for governance right now. And of course, we don't pretend to be fully decentralized. We actually is a big proponent of progressive decentralization because decentralization is not an idealism. If you treat it as an idealism, it's very easily you fall into this utopia. Yeah, it can very easily turn into disaster if you actually read history and those countries and nations that adopt idealism. So we don't treat decentralization as ideal, but a practical means to do something good for the network, right? So collective decision making, but also at the same time being to govern it with the right sort of expertise, if you like. So there's a couple of things that are in the run right now. So one is there's already normal governance going on. So there's referendum, there's council voting, etc. And then we are upgrading based on Polkadot's roadmap into the governance v3. And so that will actually impact the normal ACA, the network governance for Acala, but will also impact, for example, collator governance, and also staking ACA and nominating ACA to manage collators, as well as other aspects of governance on the network. So yeah, so that is an area that we've been doing some research and then exploring different ways, and also wanting to have discussions once there's some ideas being written down. And then another sort of aspect that we are exploring into is we've been running this type of ACA staking buyback. Now is the second sort of round. We've been kind of like doing some design brainstorming where we could build some pallets, and then this can be part of the voting process to redirect some of these into certain pools. So some of this can be redirecting to staking, some of this can be redirecting to, say, collators, and some of this can be redirecting to some pools. And yeah, so those are also a research area that we have been exploring, and then we'll probably be sharing with everyone some initial result at some point. Yeah. Oh, where's the token voting happening? So yeah, so we've tried a number of tools so far, and then I think there's at one point we were using the normal Polkadot assembly, but it doesn't quite do what we wanted because we do have slightly different configuration than that. So now we've had tried these two that we mentioned in previous calls. Let me just share that. So that's the tool called Subsquare. So we've been trialing it for a while now, and then effectively it is a friendlier version of the Polk assembly, and then it also allows us to do different customization. So for example, we are a multi-console structure. So there's different consoles looking after different aspects of the protocol. And then there's also normal referendum stuff. And there's also off-chain stuff, voting that we have used for various different things, which are very, very useful, that token holders can actually indicate their interest in a certain topic to actually go ahead for further voting, and other stuff that are not completely governed by the on-chain governance, but you still can vote for your tokens. Yeah, so take a look at that. There's probably one ongoing voting happening right now, so you can take a look. So currently the fungibility palette to make AUSD fungible between Acala and Karura is voting on both Karura and Acala, because both council and also the network needs to agree on the initial risk parameter be set up. So there's two votes, one happening on Karura and then one happening on Acala. If you open those link, you can see the first referenda is what I'm talking about. So yeah, so feel free to participate there. Yeah, I think it's also possible to stake ACA on Polka Wallet. Yeah, I think I've answered most of the questions.
Betty, do you want to get into the second topic? I know you wanted to mention something around address binding and other EVM plus things to keep in mind.
Yes, definitely. So with the fungibility palette now going live, the next thing is the actual bridge that allows you to cross AUSD from Acala to Karura and back. So let me share a screenshot. This is what it looks like. Let's see. Right. So I've just posted a screenshot of what it actually looks like when you cross AUSD from Acala to Karura. And there's just like video guides and things like that, but just this is a very new thing. This is different from you just use a normal bridge and wrap your token and then it gets to the other side. It's very different from that. This bridge is when you send your AUSD from Acala, it goes through this fungibility palette, and then when it arrives on Karura, it is the version of AUSD that Karura uses on its lending protocol, on its swap pools, stable swap pools, and also on any other parachains that already integrated with AUSD. So as an example, what you could literally do is you could generate 100 AUSD on the Acala side, and then use this to send 100 AUSD across to Karura. And then when that 100 AUSD arrives, you can put $50 into the stable swap pool, the 3 USD pool that's currently running with pretty good APY there. You can put it in the stable swap pool, $50 of those, and earning. And you can also cross the other $50 onto other parachains. I think Basely launched they finally launched their pool on their chain, so you can cross another $50 AUSD onto their chain and then participate in whatever program they have available, and similarly to any other parachain that integrated AUSD. So that is what you can do, and then vice versa. So if you've got AUSD on Karura, you can do the same to participate in Polkadot activities that integrated AUSD. So that's the idea. And then effectively, when you cross, that's why it's slightly different from I'm sure everyone used bridges at some point and probably also used XCM at some point. So this is slightly more steps, but we are also looking to streamline that. So right now there are 3 steps. The first one is you actually send the token. At the back end of it, between Acala and Karura, the normal token messaging transfer is powered by wormhole right now, but it will be upgraded to a substrate native bridge between Acala and Karura when that becomes production ready. So the first step is you sending the token, and then that is actually sending the token to the wormhole bridge, and then they get wrapped into this WAUSD, so a standard within the wormhole bridge to send the token message back and forth. So that's the first step. And then once you've done that, the second step is you redeem the token on the other side. So this is normal operation if you actually use wormhole. And then the third step is the extra step that for the fungibility palette to make it fungible. So you actually get AUSD is to kind of like interact with the fungibility palette and get the version of Karura AUSD to be used on the Karura side, and also the entire Kusama ecosystem seamlessly. So there are very detailed guides. So Josh, Lawrence have done a good job, like with videos and things like that, for folks to kind of like walk through this whole process. And then there's also a 3-step process on the Karura side to kind of send the token back as well. So this will come out probably in a week or 2, depending on how testing and the rest of the preparation going. So feel free to kind of navigate. We can probably post also the video link as well for people to get ready. And then the whole process, all you need to do is hook up your Polkadot.js wallet or any wallet that's supported. So like Talisman, I think also Subwallet is also supported. So you can use any of those Polkadot-based wallet to do it. But for those who are a little bit tuned on, you'll probably know this wormhole is actually deployed on Acala's EVM. So if you don't do anything special, you're supposed to actually use 2 different wallets. You need to use MetaMask for EVM interaction, and then you will use Polkadot.js for the Polkadot native activities. Thanks to how we actually designed this whole stack, you only need 1 wallet. So you only need a Polkadot.js, and you can perform EVM interaction. So this holds true to other folks deploying on our EVM as well. So there are smart contract projects that are going live soon. So they will also, some of them will also use this method. So you can basically do your cross-chain stuff and also use their contract dApp seamlessly using just one type of wallet. And the way that this is possible is we implemented this wallet binding process. So effectively, in Acala, we unified accounts and also unified liquidity from EVM as well as substrate cross-chain. And then what that means is on Acala, when you're operating, once you bind the address together, so if you bind a substrate address with a MetaMask address, then all the balances between the two are synchronized. So effectively, you don't need to have this weird deposit withdraw when you're using EVM. So everything is smooth. So as soon as you bind it, if I have 100 AUSD on my substrate account, that will instantly mirrored into the EVM account. And then if there's a smart contract, like we're about to, there's a project about to launch called Pike, then you can deposit that 100 AUSD onto that smart contract to earn some interest without even need to switch your wallet. And then, but effectively, you are actually performing an EVM transaction. But you don't so that usability is hidden from the end user, but taken care by the platform itself. But as a user, you need to do one-off operation, which is binding the two accounts. And there's also a very detailed guide on this one, but at a high level, there's a three-step approach. One is you select which substrate account that you want to operate. So hopefully that's balance in there. And then you also create a MetaMask account, and it's better to be a brand new MetaMask account. So that these two can actually bind and mirror together to help you perform any of the EVM operation. And once you've done that, you actually send a transaction on chain to tell the blockchain that these two are bind together. So all of this is not managed in some sort of like off-chain server or anything like that, but all of these are managed on chain. So these are recorded that these two accounts have a one-to-one relationship, and the account needs to be mirrored on chain to ensure integrity of all the account balancers. And then once you've done that, so on one side you signed to make sure that this MetaMask account actually belongs to you. And then once you confirm that, and then you enable the bind by sending a transaction on chain from your substrate account. But if you follow the prompt, that ultimately these two accounts are bind together, and helps you to kind of navigate in a seamless EVM and Acala world. And also, we are able to have any of the substrate tokens that become available in EVM, and then you can use them seamlessly using just the substrate wallet without switching wallets when you're using any of the dApp. And then vice versa. So any of the ERC20 tokens can also become a substrate native token and cross-chain to other chains. So we're doing this with other parachains. So for example, we will bridge, say, DAI and maybe other sort of Ethereum tokens or other tokens from the external world. And those are in the form of ERC20. And they can then get turned, they basically can just get sent across to other parachains via XCM. Thanks to EVM Plus that we've built, that we can actually route this liquidity very seamlessly across the entire ecosystem. So every parachain, they don't have to build their own bridge, and we can just route those to where the liquidity needs to be seamlessly and trustlessly. So so those are a couple of things that are coming up, and then I think we can release some of this documentation slightly earlier, and folks can get prepared as we launch. So. That's it then.
Yeah, sorry, I was just reading some of these questions. Um, yeah, no launch date for Pike yet. There'll be some more information coming out soon, and yeah, AUSD use cases. So Pike will be one example of a money market, but like I said, there's a whole lot of teams right now that are building and preparing to launch on the EVM Plus. So definitely keep an eye out. Yeah, anyone else in the room want to come up on and ask a question? Otherwise, we can probably wrap it up. Oh, we've got one question. T. Malogro. I've sent you an invite. I think you just have to accept the invite to come on stage. There you go.
Hello,
Hello?
buddy. Hello, Dan. How are you guys doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Very good, very good. Guys, first, congratulations. I'm very excited for Acala, and you guys are building like no other. And thanks for the transparency with the community as well. Um, my
Yeah,
my only
appreciate it.
question, yeah, thank you guys. My only question is, I've when we first launched, I was very excited because I thought that the apps that were going to be built on top of Acala were going to basically generate trading fees, right? In this sense, creating appreciation for the ACA token and benefiting the people who support ACA. But now I know that that doesn't happen. I mean, you guys cannot charge fees on other people's apps. So what would you envision the scenario to be where ACA, you know, appreciates in value? That's it.
I don't think we comment on price, but I can probably answer it in a different way.
Thank
How
you.
how Acala network can accrue value in itself. So if you look at Acala, we are in a slightly, I guess, different arena than many others. So we are a app chain. So which means we actually have our app protocol, right? So we're not strictly speaking, we're not a generic layer one. So we don't play the same game as come and transact on our chain and then we throw you a bunch of tokens so that we build up TVL and that's the only measure we have. So we're not in that game. We're an application chain. That actually means we have our own protocols that operates and then also generate fees. And yes, so right now the fees are quite low. So for example, liquid staking, we charge 1/10 of the fees that normal liquid staking providers provides. And we build up reputation, we build up security, we build up operational stability, and also with very, very low fees because we are early. But I think as we grow, then that's also one source of sort of revenue there. And then the second thing is certainly there's the stablecoin lending protocol there that are also generating revenue there as well. And then at the same time, there are also highly integrated protocol built on top. So for example, the synthetic DOT, the Tapio, Tiger, stable swap pool, and the synthetic assets protocol there, as well as on top of that, I think Pike will kind of like more consumer facing, where it will link up all of these elements and then continue to generate like utility and usage. And you can see each step of this. Certainly at the back end of it, all the fees are settled in ACA, right? So there's more activity, there's more sort of ACA kind of circulating, a velocity of ACA in the ecosystem. And second thing is each of this protocol also generates returns. And then we can continue. So we've done one experiment so far is buyback ACA. Of course, the amount is small, and then because we've only just launched for not too long, and then the whole ecosystem is only at early stage. But you can see where we are heading, right? You can see where we are heading is try to creating this positive cycle of you actually perform real activity, real use case, and then generating real returns, not printed ones, like honest real returns, and then being able to buy back and redistribute that back to the holders or owners of the network, and that creates further participation, right? So I don't think we have a silver bullet, but so far, that cycle of being able to reward folks with the real sort of returns has been, proving, with really, really good feedback. So that, I think, is, you can see where that's heading. And then also, another thing I didn't mention is like, because we are app chain and we are a credit system, you can see everyone is wanting to move into the credit system space. Right, so Aave is creating a stable coin, and then Curve is also doing similar things. And then, those folks are not actually moving into a stable coin. They're actually moving into the credit generation business, right? Because generating credit, for one, is not easy. On one side, it is a very hard work to actually operate a credit system that is safe, solid, and also be able to acquire that much liquidity to kind of start the bootstrapping cycle, right? So you can see it took quite a while for Acala and Karura to even get to today stage, right? So I think the TVL is still low compared to the entire sort of crypto market, but in terms of the DOT itself, it's kind of like stacking up steadily and quite well. And then also it's gone through very severe market conditions, especially Kusama, and also most recently DOT and Kusama as well, with the whole macro sort of market cycle as well. And then the risk side, it holds up really well. You can also see every day there's new algorithmic and different type of stablecoin collapsing as well, right? So it's not a very easy thing to actually manage and bootstrap, but it's actually a very fundamental and lucrative, as well as a promising area that folks want to get into, because this is essentially, you are reconstructing a central bank system in a native crypto way, right? So and then we are kind of in that business, and then we are app chain. So that means we are currently mainly serving the Polkadot sort of ecosystem, using Polkadot as a reserve token. But we don't have to stop there, right? Because if you are app chain and we are operating in a multi-chain world, we can effectively offer this banking services to any of the interested parties within the Polkadot ecosystem, as well as outside of Polkadot, right? So effectively, we can create credit for any of the reasonable crypto reserve or assets that are available out there. But of course, they have to meet all the risk assessment criteria from Acala, as well as from our partners like Ganglet. So that we haven't actually talked too much about, because because we are in a multi-chain world, and this is where, as an application, right, as an app chain, that's where you can be heading to as well as only in one sort of vertical sort of integration as well. And then the third thing, so I've talked about how within Acala, how the things like the value get accrued, and then you can also expand multi-chain. And then the third level is the vertical integration, is where we actually see probably real adoption coming in. But of course, that's going to be longer time span from the first and the second approach, is this hi-fi approach. And of course, we've already got the first real use case there with enterprise liquid staking that we've announced with Alluvia, Coinbase a month ago or a while ago. And when you hear enterprise, don't think it is to business. It is actually all of these enterprises, they are, say, exchanges. They are also custodies. There are also fintech businesses. Each one of them have tens of thousands and millions of users. And then many of them operate compliantly, like they have to operate compliantly within the jurisdiction that they are in. They do the research for their customers, and then they build their program based on an open protocol that Acala powers. So the difference this time is you see all the CeFi collapse, right? People say, CeFi is not the way to go, but they didn't see what we are looking for is product market fit plus all the benefits that we want to bring to the world is transparency, traceability, accountability, and also self-sovereignty from individuals, right? And none of those words contain the word of decentralization or centralization. I think that is a word in the idealism realm, but all those properties is how we want to change the world to be, right? I think decentralization is means, but not the end. So how I see the world is the CeFi folks, while they operationally is a disaster, they did the product market fit correctly, right? There's millions of users that are being able to onboard it, but on the regulation side, on the consumer sort of protection side, they didn't operate in a way that they appear to be. However, I think regulation is coming, compliance requirements are coming, and then for folks who are kind of like navigating in that realm, those are those fintech companies, those licensed custodians, licensed exchanges and compliant exchanges, then they are able to provide these type of service to their consumers. Tens of thousands of users will be staking using Acala's tech without actually knowing Acala even exists, because they all go through these, from our perspective, they're enterprise or institutions, but from the user's perspective, these are their trusted service provider, right? And then at the back end of it, current CeFi books are closed, and then it's like all dark forest. Whereas in this new model, this hybrid finance model that we are proposing, the ledger is open, in the open. And then you can actually track where the transactions going, how the books are being kept, and how the funds are being moved, all on chain. So effectively, Acala is positioned as it has the transparency, and then traceability and accountability as a public blockchain and secured by Polkadot, of course. But on the other hand, it also has the customizability and configurability as a private network, right? And this is why those protocols can also has an element of a compliant layer built in, and then also other customizations that enterprises, like if you actually scale for tens of thousands and millions of users, those are configurations that require, a customization that require to actually get to that level. So this is like, further apart, but that's, I think, one of the ways that how we can reach the masses, right? So I hope that makes sense.
Okay. And so you gave a great example, and I love what you guys are doing with Hi-Fi. Like and I love the time that you guys are taking and how meticulous you're being. So at the risk of sounding a little bit ignorant, how would it look like for let's say in what stage of Alluvial using Acala do they need to transact the ACA token, for example?
Betty,
So
before you start, Betty, we've got a meeting to run to, so if you can just keep it relatively short.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah,
Cool.
Thanks for a reminder. So for Alluvia in particular, that is a liquid staking protocol for DOT, and also for other assets as well. So on Acala, they have a protocol deployed on Acala, and then also using the liquid staking protocol that we have to actually perform the operation, right? So effectively, the infrastructure, the technology is run on Acala. And then all the fees and obviously accrued in ACA. And then at the same time, those liquid staking token, right? If you're doing liquid staking, there will be liquid staking token there. They also live on Acala, and then they can then be transacted and then used as collaterals, and also in other protocols that are available in Acala. And then the huge amount of like participation and the money coming into the crypto market will only come when there's proper compliance and proper sort of protection there, both for consumers but also regulate how operators operates. And we kind of anticipate that will be, well, in a slightly longer time frame, of course, that will be much larger scale than just very early adopters like you guys will be participating in, right? But in that case, we have both running in parallel, and those liquid staking tokens can also trade to each other, and those activities are all captured on the Acala chain, and that's the main thing. And this is only one, I guess, low-hanging fruit for us to actually do as for liquid staking. There's quite a number of other stuff that we can do using a similar model as well. So I hope that helps.
Thank you very much, guys. Betty and Dan, keep doing great stuff. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, appreciate the question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap it up. We've got to get on a call with some people from the team. But thanks, everybody, for taking the time to join. Thanks for the questions for those who typed or asked them. And this is being recorded, so we'll also post this on YouTube probably by the end of the week. And yeah, see you guys at the next one. We're kind of hopping around from Discord. Some weeks we'll do Twitter Spaces, sometimes Crowdcast. So just keep watching. Our Twitter is probably the best way to keep updated on what's to come, as well as the Discord here. But yeah, everybody have a good day or a good night. See you soon.
Thanks, everyone.